Journey's Reader's Notebook, page 81. Please have your Journey's Reader's Notebook open to page 81. We will go over this together. This one's a bit tricky, I got to admit. A bit tricky. I'm sure that you guys will hopefully figure this out. We'll do this together, okay? I understand. We'll get it. Now, you're on page 81 now, okay? I want you guys to look or at least think about back when we were doing direct objects. By the way, this is indirect objects is what we're doing now. Not direct objects, it's indirect objects. And without confusing you guys, I want you to think about this. For direct objects, which is what we did on page 79, we were looking for a person, place, or thing that received the action of the verb, right? Okay, it was the receiver of the action of the verb. Now, if you think back, we did some together, and one of them was Papa is herding cattle. We got to think about this. Who's the subject of this sentence? Papa. And what is the verb here? What is happening? What is Papa doing? Papa is herding. And who is receiving the herding? The cattle. So the cattle right here in that sentence is going to be our direct object. And we'll come back to that. So I want you to think, we're on 81 again here. You guys probably still are, that's fine. And an indirect object, read along with me please. An indirect object is a noun or pronoun that comes between the verb and the direct object. So we're going to have to identify the direct object. We're going to know what the verb is, but we're going to have to identify what the direct object is and find out what's in between that. So an indirect object tells to or for whom what the action of the verb is done. I think over here the thinking question to the right says that a little bit better. Actually, it says it kind of the same way. Let me kind of rephrase that. It says, to who, let's see, who is the action of the verb being done to? I know that's actually. I think these guys are making it more confusing than we can actually. When we let's get our hands dirty and do this together, okay? So we're gonna read on here in the box. A sentence that has an indirect object must have a direct object. So we're gonna identify both the direct object and the indirect object in these sentences, as they have done for you here below. We're back to Papa. Papa gave his horse a pat on the head. Now, thinking back to the direct objects, like for instance, I'm going to look at it so I don't forget it. Papa is herding cattle. Papa's all over the place with this stuff. So Papa is herding cattle. Papa is the main person. He's the subject of this sentence. What is he doing? He's herding. What is he herding? The cattle. The cattle is the direct object. Now let's go back to this subject, or number one, or sorry, Papa gave his horse a pat on the head. So we have to think about this. Papa is the subject of this sentence. Yes. What is Papa doing? All right. What is Papa doing? What is the verb here? He gave something. What did he give? What did he give? What did Papa give? He gave a pat on the head. And that's why they're calling this the direct object. Now, what is in between the direct object and the verb? It is the horse. So the horse is the one receiving the action of the verb. So Papa gave his. Papa is the subject. Gave, what did he give? He gave a pat. Who did he give the pat to? He gave it to the horse. We will do some together. Let's do these together, okay? The activity down below says, underline the indirect object and draw 2 lines under the direct object. 2, then 1, just like they've done in the example up here, up above. Number 1. Our cousins showed us the swimming hole on their ranch. Now, as let's think about this just like we thought about those other sentences, all right? We have to think about who is the subject of this sentence. It is our cousins, all right? We don't need to do anything with that because those are we're looking for the indirect object and the direct object. First of all, the first things first, we're going to look for the direct object because we already know how to identify that. It is who receives the action of the verb. So, our cousins is the subject, and what are our cousins doing? What is their action? They showed something. So, what did they show? They showed the swimming hole, right? So we're going to put 2 lines underneath swimming hole because that is our direct object. Now, we have to think, if the swimming hole in this sentence, our cousins showed us the swimming hole on their ranch, who or what is the action of the verb being done to? Okay? So in this case, the verb is showed, and what was being showed is the swimming hole. And who was showed? Who got showed? We were showed. Us. Our cousins are the subject. Showed is the verb. Us has a single line underneath it because it is the indirect object. And if you'll notice, it shows up in between the verb and the direct object. Showed us the swimming hole. All right. Now, number 2. Thankfully, this is much shorter. They handed us I'm sorry, they just, let me say that over again because I want to make sure they have exactly what they have. They handed us fishing poles. Who is the subject here? Who's the subject of this sentence? It is they. And what did they do? They handed something. What did they hand? Fishing poles, or poles. They handed us poles. They handed poles. So they are the subject. Handed is the verb. Poles has 2 lines underneath it because it is our direct object. Now, what is in between fishing poles and handed? Us. We, again, are the indirect object here. Okay? Indirect object gets 1 line underneath it. Hopefully we're starting to get this a little bit more. Number 3. Number 3 says, we brought the ducks and geese small pieces of bread. Again, we have to, our thinking should go straight to who is the subject here of this sentence. We have to find the direct object. So, in this sentence, we, as in we brought the ducks and geese small pieces of bread, we are the subject of the sentence. What did we do? We brought something. What did we bring? Pieces. You could say bread normally, but no, in this case, it's pieces. Pieces is the direct object here, okay? So we brought pieces. Pieces gets 2 underlines. Well, who received these pieces? Who received the action of this verb? Who did we bring these to, these pieces? That's right. In your head, and hopefully underlining already, you are underlining where it says ducks and geese, because those two things. There's actually two ones here, two indirect objects here, ducks, geese. We brought. The verb is brought. We brought the ducks and geese small pieces of bread. What did we bring? We brought pieces. Who did we bring these pieces to? Who was the recipient of these bringings? Brought. We brought. Ducks and geese were the recipients of us bringing something, of pieces. So the indirect objects here are, again, one underline underneath ducks and one underline underneath geese, and two underlines underneath pieces, because pieces, again, is our direct object. We're going to do number 4 together, and hopefully by now you're seeing the pattern and you can identify indirect objects at this point. Let's try number 4 together. Try really hard with this one, okay? I showed Papa my catch of the day, a piece of wood. Okay, that's, first of all, that's kind of sad. Unless they were fishing for wood. Yeah, okay. I showed Papa my catch of the day, a piece of wood. Spoiler alert, you don't need to worry about the phrase a piece of wood. That is for another lesson. So don't even think about that part right now. I showed Papa my catch of the day. Who is the subject here? It is no longer Papa. I am the subject of this sentence, and what did I do? I showed something. What did I show? I showed it's catch, not catch of the day. That's the whole phrase. Catch in this sentence is the direct object, because that's what I caught. All right? So, I am the subject. Showed is the verb. What did I show? I showed catch. Underline. Catch gets 2 underlines. Who did I show this catch to? That's right. Very good, boys and girls. You got it. Papa gets 1 underline. Now we have 5, 6, 7, and 8. I want you guys to do this together, or I'm sorry, do this on your own. And if you need me, hopefully you're doing this right here in class. And if you need me for 5, 6, 7, or 8, look up and raise your hand. Good luck.